At Microsoft, our mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. In this unprecedented time, we rely on our customers more than ever before to help solve this challenge. By using our business applications to help transform their mission-critical processes, organizations are fundamentally changing how they engage customers, reimagine operations, and empower people to move their business forward.
I'm really excited about ways that we can use this technology to make physicians' jobs easier, to provide better patient care.
Working with Microsoft ensures our field teams stand out, giving us the data and digital tools to have better relationships with our customers.
Customers across industries are using Microsoft applications to rapidly deliver value throughout their organization, leading to more personalized interactions.
With Microsoft Power Virtual Agent, we're looking at machine learning and AI to analyze the tons of data that we were capturing and take actions based on that.
By having this data platform and combining it with Power BI, we're able to go from a scenario where it could take weeks to months to deliver something to our business, potentially taking hours to days.
Microsoft is a great partner. Using their experience, their knowledge, their expertise gives us the wings to fly, enabling us in our mission to save lives.
Microsoft Dynamics 365 and Power Platform enable organizations to build the digital capability they need to address these unique challenges. And in these times, we have the power like never before to provide transformative solutions that solve critical problems for our customers around the world.
Welcome to Microsoft Business Applications Summit 2020. We are so glad you are here with us for our first ever fully digital MBAS. James and I are here with a small crew at the Microsoft Studios, and you can see we're practicing our social distancing. But we thought it was incredibly important to join you together for our first ever digital event. And I wanted to start with the most important thing, which is wherever you're joining us from, we want you to know that we're sending you, your loved ones, your family, your friends, best wishes for health and safety. The past few months have been a learning experience, to say the least. Not only just putting on a virtual event, but many of us are remote working, most of us are remote working, and doing our disciplines and learning from all around the world. And so I hope you will forgive us for any hiccups that you might experience in this event today. This is a whole new era for us. But the one thing throughout this time that we've been seeing as we've worked with customers and partners to figure out a path forward is one consistent big change. And that's how quickly everything is moving and how quickly we're moving together. Historically, what those big transformation initiatives that would happen over years, we're now seeing condensed out of necessity to happen in weeks or even in days. Just a couple quick examples. The New York State Tech SWAT Team. This is a group of individuals that came together from all different disciplines and industries, and they came together with one goal, which was to very quickly stand up a self-screening and testing scheduling solution. And they did this using Microsoft Power Apps, and they did it in just a few days. The Australian Red Cross, they built a volunteer connection platform for people who were self-isolating. And it was a way for the volunteers to connect with them using Dynamics 365 customer service. And they also built that solution in less than a week. It's been incredible to see this. And I know, James, you've seen many of these examples as well.
That's right. So, welcome, by the way, from me as well. And I, too, wish your families nothing but health and safety. Thank you for joining us, even though virtually. It's been amazing to see the community rally around the community and around each other, taking care of each other through this time and leveraging, in many cases, the great products and services in the Power Platform, in Dynamics 365, the broader Microsoft Cloud. So I feel honored to be able to play a part, a small part perhaps, but a part nonetheless, in sort of engaging and empowering the first responders to respond to the crisis that we're all living through. So thank you deeply. And that really brings us to community. Ultimately, the Microsoft Business Applications Summit is about community. I really, really wish we could be together right now in Dallas. I was really looking forward to it. This is, I think, our 4th or 5th annual event, and getting together in person and seeing all of you is what I look forward to every year. Not going to be able to do it this year, but I'm excited that we can at least do it in sort of digital format. And so thank you to the community, and what a community it's become. It's amazing to see the growth. We've got millions of active community members now, hundreds of user groups across the globe, and to think that just a few short years ago, these numbers were 0. We've only been at this for a few short years, and to see the growth of this community, the energy that the community has brought to the Microsoft Power Platform, Dynamics 365 in the broader Microsoft Cloud, is incredibly encouraging. And it's you in the community that have really made all of this possible. So from the bottom of our heart, thank you. Thank you for going on this journey with us. Thank you for being with us in good times and in challenging times. And we're very excited to spend the next couple of days with you, taking you through the Power Platform, Dynamics 365, and the broader Microsoft Cloud, and everything that it can do for you, your organizations. Now, one of the things that we've done, speaking of community, was to hold a contest. We asked you to do a t-shirt design that I promised I would wear in this opening keynote, and I'm wearing it. We had nearly 100 entries, and I'm proud to say that Joel Kellner was the winner. And this t-shirt that represents sort of the combination of all the components of the Power Platform in Dynamics 365 is just a gorgeous work of art. I'm really proud to wear it, and I think we'll make it available for all of you as well in the community. So I'm looking forward to seeing more people wearing this as I get out and about once we're able to do that post this crisis. Now, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about another part of the ecosystem, our ISVs, those who are building applications and making them available on the broader Microsoft Cloud on top of Dynamics and Office and the Power Platform and Azure. This is an amazing community of thousands of ISVs with nearly 10,000 applications now available, built on top of this platform that we're all building atop on a daily basis. Huge growth in this community, and I'm very excited to show you today and over the course of the next couple of days many of those ISVs and the applications they built and how they work with the broader Microsoft platform. Now, last year we introduced a new community recognition. We called it the Fast Track Recognized Solution Architect Program. We started it with Dynamics 365, and this year I'm proud to say that we have an even larger class, the class of 2020 Fast Track Recognized Solution Architects in Dynamics 365. We're seeing them here on the screen. This is a pretty comprehensive and somewhat grueling program. If you look at what we ask these individuals to do through oral examinations, through working side by side with our Fast Track Solution Architects in customer accounts, doing implementations, it's a long and sort of involved process. It takes a lot of time and energy. And so I'm really proud of these individuals for sort of investing their time and energy into this platform, and to my team that worked with them. Anytime a customer asks me, who do you recommend to come do a Dynamics 365 deployment for us, I point them to this website. And I guarantee you that if I was implementing Dynamics 365 in my organization, these are the first individuals that I'd look to be on the project. Now, one of the things that I said last year was that we would also do the same thing for the Power Platform. And I'm proud to say that this year we're now recognizing also solution architects for the Power Platform. So this is a new class of recognition for the Power Platform solution architects. Again, same process of certification and ensuring that these individuals not only understand the technologies and sort of can, from an academic perspective talk about it, but that they've proven themselves in the real world, in real projects alongside our Fast Track team. So super exciting to be able to sort of add the Power Platform into this program. And what I'd like to do is show you a video quickly that sort of highlights the great work that's been done this year and recognize these individuals who've worked so hard to achieve this recognition.
honored to be recognized as Fast Track Solution Architect. Thank you.
I'm very happy and humbled to receive the recognition. Thank you, PowerOptus, for nominating me. Thank you, Microsoft, for giving me the opportunity.
To me, the recognition is a celebration of all the hard work, perseverance, and dedication of all the project team involved, from the client, from Microsoft Fast Track, and from Barhead. So it's a win-win scenario.
I really believe in the Fast Track program because it enables our customers' success utilizing the business application and Dynamics 365 platform, and I'm really grateful. So thanks a lot.
Being part of the ones recognized for the year 2020 is really an honor and a big sense of achievement for me.
I'm truly honored to receive this recognition. Power BI is an amazing tool, and I'm looking forward to working with Microsoft and Avanade client to bring new value and create new insights with the Power BI platform and its architecture.
I'm grateful to be recognized as Fast Track Solution Architecture in Power Platforms. I appreciate all the hard work our team has carried on. Thank you, Microsoft, for creating and running a platform that excites me to work every day. Thank you.
Congratulations to all of the Fast Track architects on this recognition, both the returning architects and the newest ones. And it's incredible to see the importance of this community. A huge thank you for everything that you do. Just to iterate what James said, you make this business what it is. And before we get into the technical innovation that James is going to walk us through, I did want to touch just quickly on what we're seeing in the market. We've had incredible wins over the last year, major shifts that organizations are making across marketing, sales, service, operations, and commerce. But I wanted to acknowledge that success looks different now than it did in the recent past. And organizations are making radical shifts in where they focus. One example is L'Oreal. And for those that are familiar, they're one of the world's leading beauty companies. And they took a radical step to expand from just doing beauty products into hand sanitizers. And this is really expanding on their mission of keeping the world beautiful to keeping the world beautiful and safe. But this type of shift has pretty major implications around production, distribution, marketing, sales, even how you service customers. And so we feel like within our business applications portfolio, we've spent the last 3 years building a product line that can help organizations do just this, to be agile and to be adaptive. And so for us, success looks like partnering with organizations to be and to adapt to this new normal with technology at the core. And James, I know you have a number of customer examples that you're going to take us through.
That's right, Alyssa. So we're going to spend some time going through a number of demos, but I want to talk a little bit about two customers that are very exciting that we've just announced. So Coca-Cola, an iconic global brand, just selected Dynamics 365, the Power Platform. In fact, the entire Microsoft Cloud to power their digital transformation initiatives. It's great to be in partnership with Coca-Cola as they move forward on their transformation journey. Another one that we just announced is C3 AI, a very special company that was founded by Tom Siebel, the father of CRM. C3 AI went out and sort of looked across the landscape of opportunities to adopt software, CRM software, to transform the way they engage their customers. And after a very deep analysis, concluded that Dynamics 365 is the most robust, the most modern, the most agile system. And we got into production, took their organization from a decision to using the system in a matter of a few short weeks. This move up market, where historically Dynamics 365 has sort of served smaller and mid-market organizations, has really accelerated over the last 3 years. Today, Dynamics 365, the Power Platform, the broader Microsoft Cloud, is in use in a very large percentage of the world's largest organizations. In fact, at this point, nearly all of the Fortune 500 is using, customer of the Power Platform, and over half of the Fortune 500 leveraging Dynamics 365 in production as customers of this technology. Now, the reason why this sort of move up market is happening is something that we're going to talk about in a few minutes, sort of what's making this sort of transition happen. But I want to talk about sort of what's happening broadly in the market, broadly around business applications, that's sort of leading to a move from the old guard to modern systems like Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform. Now, the reality is that business applications, they haven't fundamentally changed, really, ever. If you go back to the 1970s, I've got a picture here that shows a TW Airlines call center. They don't even exist anymore. Back in 1970, with agents sitting in front of terminals, taking calls from customers to provide them with customer service. If you were to take someone from that environment, move them to 1990, move them to 2010, put them in front of the systems, the applications that were being used at that point, they would see more differences in hairstyles and clothing than they would in the applications being used. And that's not hyperbole. These systems were designed at a time where really all you could do from a business application perspective, or really from a business process perspective, was to be reactive. Imagine you're a company that manufactures tooling for other manufacturers, and you've sold a piece of equipment into one of your important customers. That piece of equipment fails, production line goes down. Now you're able to sort of get into this reactive business process where the customer calls for help. Someone at a service center picks up the phone, they dispatch someone out to go repair the problem and eventually get that customer back online. Very, very reactive. The customer is in pain through this entire process until the situation can be resolved. But that's all we had. There really wasn't anything else that we could do. And so if you look at the business applications generation after generation, they've been the same sort of forms over data. Someone opens an app, types stuff in, it gets stored off, reports get created. Just a different delivery mechanism. Mainframe, mini computer, monochrome in 1970, client server in 90, SaaS last generation. But there's a fundamental change occurring. And the fundamental change is that data is beginning to flow from everything, out of every field, operating room, retail environment. Everything is increasingly instrumented, connected, and a source of insight and information. From connected devices to cameras to the vast amount of information that's coming from e-commerce systems, everything is a source of potential insight. Not because someone typed it into a form in an application, but because everything is increasingly creating data and creating it first. And that allows us and allows you, our customers, to move from this very reactive process to a proactive business process, literally turning things upside down. Now, if you think about that same example, that piece of equipment that I'm selling into a customer environment where a factory is being automated is connected, sending a continuous stream of information about how it's being used, the health of the systems. That can land in a public cloud where an anomaly detection model can predict that that piece of equipment is on the verge of having an issue. That can trigger a proactive business process where maintenance happens before the line goes down. You get in front of the problem and the customer never experiences an emergency. Fundamentally different. We have this notion called the digital feedback loop. It's a framework for reasoning about this opportunity. And it sort of captures this notion that across your organization, customers, products, people, assets, all four corners of your business can now be observed. That data is flowing from all four corners, and those organizations that can capture it and then reason over it are in a position to deeply understand their customers, product, people, assets, and all the processes that support customer engagement and creating the products and services of the organization. From this, you can then go engage from a point of understanding, deep understanding, predictively and proactively. You can do that with your customers, but it sort of flows across the entirety of that digital feedback loop, each touch point creating even more data, creating that feedback loop across the entirety of the organization. Now, to make this possible, it requires not only a different kind of application, but a completely different class of infrastructure living beneath that application. And at Microsoft, we've spent the last 10 years laying down this fabric, this footprint, to support digital transformation in a way that I believe no other organization has. And we started from data, of course, because that's what's changing. Today in Azure across the entire planet, we have exabyte class storage. Every single thermostat, car, aircraft engine, camera, everything that's producing information, we can store it securely. We can comply with nation state regulations where the data has sovereignty. We have a place where all of that data, big, little, streaming, batch process, doesn't matter, can be harnessed, captured and harnessed through the investments that we've made in Azure, in the application platform, in the analytical platform that takes that data and turns it into insight. Decades of primary research out of MSR and all of the great work that we've done across the broad Microsoft has been distilled down into a collection of analytical capabilities, machine learning, AI, advanced analytics, and an application platform that can take that signal, gain information, gain insight and intelligence, and then take intelligent action. On top of that, we've built the Power Platform, Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agent, allowing anyone, not just professional developers and data scientists, but those who are closest to the business, to harness all of that data and to create applications that fundamentally change the nature of the operational processes in an organization. And of course, with Office 365 and Dynamics 365, we've bottled up and created out-of-the-box applications that embody this new worldview, this data-first view, to give you, our customers, across marketing, sales, service, operations, finance, talent, commerce, the ability to start from that very proactive, predictive posture and sort of integrated with and connected to Office 365, where communication, collaboration, creativity is enabled. On top of that, AppSource, we talked about this earlier. Thousands and thousands of our partners have built applications that tailor this broad platform to the specific needs of an industry or a geography. And then, of course, at the bottom, we're able to bring Microsoft's data assets to bear to infuse and augment and enrich our customers' data, leveraging LinkedIn, Bing, the Microsoft Graph. All of this connected and unified. When you start with Dynamics, the data stored in Azure, available through Power Platform for an application that can surface in Microsoft Teams. It's this connectedness, this completeness that makes Microsoft very unique. And that's the reason Coca-Cola and C3 AI and HSBC and organizations across the planet are selecting Dynamics 365 in the Power Platform, along with everything else in the Microsoft Cloud. So that sort of encapsulates our point of view on the digital feedback loop. I want to spend some time now talking specifically about how customers can adopt Dynamics 365 in the Power Platform in the context of where they are currently from a systems and infrastructure perspective. So just about every organization, in fact, I would argue any organization that it's of any meaningful scale is going to have not just one CRM system or ERP system, but they'll probably have many homegrown systems, acquired systems, all of these legacy sort of forms over data, systems of record from the past, whether it's Salesforce or SAP on the ERP side, or it really doesn't matter. Everyone's got them. And we can embrace our customers from that point of view, leveraging the Power Platform. So Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, with hundreds of connectors, permits you to engage with, integrate with, connect across all of your existing applications to build very specific applications, to build very specific business process workflows that pull your systems together and solve problems that off-the-shelf applications may not be available for. And we'll talk a lot about some of those applications over the next couple of days, and we'll demo a few in just a few minutes. Now, on top of that, if you look across the myriad sources of data, whether it's data from those transactional systems or connected products or web logs or camera feeds, all of that information, when brought together and harmonized and analyzed via something like Dynamics 365 Customer Insights, which is our customer data platform, allows organizations to start from the data side, to gather all of this information, both transactional and operational, to gain insight, and then to use that to drive your business processes as currently embodied in whatever systems you have. Again, hundreds of connectors and the ability to embrace and to add additional value, frankly, on top of what you have without requiring you to rip and replace those systems. But of course, Dynamics 365 also includes a full family of business applications that span left to right across the entirety of the business process spectrum: marketing, sales, service, operations, finance, talent, and commerce, all built to live in this interconnected world where data comes first and agility is enabled through this Power Platform at the bottom. Very, very powerful, comprehensive, unified system that we believe is completely unique. And one of the reasons why, just last week, we announced 50% year-over-year growth in the Dynamics 365 business. This collection of assets is fundamentally unique in the market. And we're continuing to move the ball down the field. We just announced at our First Wave 2020, 400 plus new capabilities across new applications, both on the Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform side. So we're continuing to innovate. Every 6 months, we're announcing hundreds and hundreds of new capabilities, new applications, new services, and we're going to spend some time looking at those over the course of the next couple of days. And I want to start by getting to a demo of one of our customers, Chipotle. So Chipotle is a food service organization, great restaurant, in fact, one of my favorites. And they've selected the Microsoft Cloud and specifically Dynamics 365 to power a transformative approach to how they engage their customers. And to show us how that works, Satish Thomas is going to take us through a demo.
Thank you, James. Today, customer data is coming from a myriad of sources. Every website visit, use of a product, and interaction with a customer service rep creates an observation or generates data. And this data is often siloed across multiple systems, making it difficult to create a single source of truth. To this end, we introduced Dynamics 365 Customer Insights, Microsoft's customer data platform service, just a few months ago, and we're seeing a ton of momentum in market with hundreds of customers. One such organization is Chipotle Mexican Grill, one of my favorite restaurants too. Now, Chipotle is one of the most popular chains of fast casual dining with over 2,500 locations worldwide. After going through a rigorous and thorough evaluation of CDP vendors, they chose Customer Insights to create a real-time, up-to-the-moment understanding of their customers to drive proactive and intelligent engagement. Chipotle wanted a solution they could deliver outcomes quickly with, while also having the option to extend and customize to meet their future business needs. Now, before we get into the demo, let me show you an example of what that data-first understanding of the customer truly enables. Firstly, customer information that was previously siloed is now unified and can be used to generate insights about that customer. Secondly, the profiles that were further enriched with proprietary signals from the Microsoft Graph and third-party sources. And finally, these additional insights can also be pulled in, including allowing organizations to see how their customers are interacting with them across their products and services, be it a website, a mobile phone, or even a connected device. And all of this data comes together to create the most comprehensive view for each customer like no other company can. Atop of which we can do AI, such as determining engagement or churn scores, which we're really excited about. Data is the most crucial part for effective AI and machine learning models, and our CDP is the ideal place to build and deploy these models atop of. In addition to the data gravity, all of this data is schematized in Microsoft Common Data Model, or CDM, so that you can understand the future and predict the relationship with the customer. Now, let me jump in and show you how this comes to life in a demo. Customer Insights, as you can see, is a finished SaaS application. And of course, all of this data is anonymized for demo purposes. First and foremost, Chipotle was able to ingest and create a 360 view of their customer from 6 different data sources, such as their point of sale transactions, digital transactions, reward information, web, mobile usage data, and much more. They can also bring data from additional sources using our pre-built connectors. Once you have that data all in Customer Insights, these previously siloed customer signals and data sources can be unified to create a comprehensive customer profile, a single source of truth that can then be used to deliver consistent and personalized experiences across any touch point. Think of this as a configuration type experience assisted with recommendations based on AI and machine learning. Furthermore, customer profiles are uniquely enriched by incorporating first-party enrichments to bring in audience intelligence from the Microsoft Graph and third-party enrichments. You'll see some examples here around brand affinity, interests, and more. Now, having a unified customer profile enables Chipotle to create segments that deliver important insights, such as loyalty members, along with their preferences, frequent repeat customers, and their satisfaction levels. And they're activating these newly created actionable segments in real time on multiple destinations using our out-of-the-box connectors for first and third-party export destinations. As you can see here, they're able to take the actionable segments and drive actions across our first-party and third-party applications. Chipotle can connect to Dynamics 365 and other third-party customer engagement applications to run ad and marketing campaigns that ultimately improve customer engagement and loyalty. Now, I never ever talk about customer insights without the Power Platform. It is critical to take these insights generated by customer insights and be able to translate them into concrete business decisions and actions. And that's where our out-of-the-box integration with Power BI was used by Chipotle to do powerful data visualization and reporting to make informed decisions. One of the examples, as you can see here, is being able to analyze the average spend across regions and be able to use that to make informed prioritization decisions to deliver exceptional experiences. Additionally, Chipotle is able to connect to Microsoft Power Automate to trigger workflows in response to customer actions and signals in real time that come from all these customer signals. And of course, Power Apps to build custom applications atop this 360 view of the customer created by Customer Insights. We continue to work with Chipotle and many other customers to further enhance customer experiences and drive impactful business outcomes. One such exciting capability is the support for real-time data ingestion. So for a quick service restaurant, when a customer places an order and completes their purchase on a mobile app, their customer profile is instantly updated in real time. And here's an example. With our customer Patty, when she places an order for pickup, it is immediately updated in her customer profile in Customer Insights. Now, let's fast forward to a Chipotle store associate or crew member who greets Patty in store and scans her QR code. So with that, the store associate is able to see the full purchase history and all past activities all in one place. This also enables the store associate to be able to provide contextual next best actions, such as a free delivery for the next order. In today's times with public health concerns, a next best action offer could be a no-contact free delivery service to ensure the safety of our local communities. Finally, it's not about what organizations can do with our out-of-the-box SaaS application, but also how much they can extend and customize to meet their growing business needs. All of this unified customer data is stored in an Azure data lake that truly enables a no-cliffs extensibility story for our customers. Additionally, by leveraging deep integration with Azure Synapse Analytics, organizations can ingest operations and other streaming data at petabyte scale, use all of that data to develop custom AI and machine learning models, and then be able to leverage all of that back into Customer Insights to build an even more comprehensive view of the customer. So for Chipotle, with all of this, they were able to build a deep understanding of their customers and use that to deliver the most personalized experiences when they engage with their customers. Now with that, thank you, and back over to you, James.
Thanks very much, Satish. So, an incredibly powerful solution. And if you look at sort of all the pieces that came together, starting from sources of data, leading to the ability to deeply understand the customer, and then even alongside the systems they already had in place, the ability to sort of change the business process and to center it around a deep understanding of the customer. We want to show a little bit more now of the Power Platform, sort of look down in the stack. And IKEA is an organization that we've been working closely with over the last couple of years, and it's amazing to see the embrace of the Power Platform and the incredible solutions they've been able to build. To show you some of that, I'm going to have Charles Lamanna do a demo, but before we get to Charles, let's look at a quick video summarizing what IKEA is doing with the Power Platform.
The mission for IKEA is to create a better everyday life for the many people, and that means every people, customers and suppliers. Before we had Power Platform solution, we were operating homemade Excel sheets, trying to capture so much data we could. That required a lot of manual work. And now when we have the Power Platform in place, we are putting less time in manual work, but in the same time, now we are a part of the customer journey that we didn't manage to exceed before we had the dynamics in place. Now when we have the MVP up and running, it gave us a lot of insights when it comes to how the behavior from the customer is and the data we didn't have before. One important thing is change management. You're used to meet our customers in one way, and now we need to make it possible in another way. That means our first meeting could be digital, our last meeting could be physical. So how can we take the advantage of those? That requires change management, but it also requires to be more visionary when it comes to different solutions. One of the purposes to make a Power Platform was to secure that we have a foundation in place. The next step for us is to make a wow customer journey. It's really important for me to say it's not about creating a world-class customer experience, because that's an internal measurement. I would like to have the customer feel, wow, I didn't imagine I could have that support the whole journey. The world around us is changing, and I would say that's wrong. It's you and me that are changing, and that requires something. Either we lead or we follow the change. We choose to lead the change. That means that we, together with Dynamics and Microsoft, choose to do something people said that's not possible.
Now that we've heard from Miki at IKEA, let's take a look at how IKEA uses the Power Platform and Dynamics 365 to completely transform their customer journey from the website all the way to their physical stores, using all the different capabilities you see inside the Power Platform. Now let me walk you through the customer journey, which starts at the IKEA website, where customers are able to configure all of their kitchen projects in a highly interactive experience and see all of the products that are available from IKEA either online or inside the store. And what's great is it's a very rich control in here. I can drag and drop and get a good feel for what the kitchen will look like. But what IKEA wanted to do is they wanted to go enrich this with a conversational experience. So IKEA looked to Power Virtual Agents to create an immersive conversational agent that can get the context of this kitchen project and actually help the customer schedule an appointment inside their store. And the way that you do this is just a very natural conversational experience. You provide your email address, you select the nearest IKEA store that you want to go visit, and it's able to go find the right time for you to schedule. And what's great is that this virtual agent isn't just providing information. It's connected to Dynamics 365 resource scheduling to give you the best possible times based on the employees inside that IKEA store. And you can go book all of this right online and basically advance to the next stage of your customer journey from the website to an in-person visit. And now to see how this was actually built, let's go switch over to the Power Virtual Agents Studio. We can see here on the right-hand side of the screen, inside of the Power Virtual Agent canvas, a highly visual, highly familiar low-code experience to create these chatbots. And this overall dialogue flow uses a bunch of different AI and machine learning to make it easy to build fuzzy matching and smart entity extraction. And on the left-hand side of the screen, we can see something called tracing. And what tracing allows me to do is to simulate what a customer would experience and then see how my chatbot would respond. So for example, in this case, we can see that I have options being presented to the customer in the chatbot. And those are the same options that were looked up and configured inside the Power Virtual Agent Designer. So this way I can very easily understand exactly what a customer would experience as I build these chatbots. And if I say run through the same steps that the customer just did at the website, I can go choose when I would want to make an appointment. And the way that this is integrated is using Power Automate. We can see there's a step right here using Power Automate. So not only can this chatbot provide information, but it can also take action to help the customer along their journey. And in this case, it's actually calling out to Dynamics 365 to look up the next best time to schedule an appointment for that customer. And what's great is that on the other part of the IKEA employee base,
they are using a schedule board to track their appointments that are coming into the store. And this makes it so that they can better handle rushes at certain times of day, as well as to make sure that their customers don't have to wait a very long time for their appointment. And we can see that this schedule board is something that's very familiar and that the IKEA employees are used to, because it's just built on top of Dynamics 365 and that schedule board capability. And all of this wires up at the end to go help the customer get to the store in person.
Now for the next part of the customer journey, let's take a look at how IKEA employees can use Power Apps on a tablet to improve the customer experience.
And now we're looking at the Power App that IKEA employees can use to go look at all of those appointments that were scheduled using the IKEA website and that Power Virtual Agent. And I can see all the appointments that are coming up specifically for me as a user or an employee at IKEA. And in this case, Colin has just come into the store, and I want to maybe walk through his reservation in his configured kitchen. I can see that all the information that he used online and configured online is available to me right inside the store. This was never possible before, to actually go from the online presence to the in-store location and have all this information in an easily visible approach right at my fingertips on a tablet. And what's great is I can go click through and see all the different items that are in this entire kitchen project plan at IKEA, and I can even drill into individual items. And again, all this information is coming from Dynamics 365 and other existing systems at IKEA without having to go replace them, using the data connectors inside of Power Apps. And this entire experience is very rich and delightful, which is great and creates a wow experience for the employees at IKEA. And to add on top of that, it's also possible to use mixed reality inside of Power Apps without having to write any code to visualize these items. So you can see here inside of my living room, maybe I want to go put down that kitchen island that I configured online. And as I walk around, I can see it in space, and I can go up and down and look underneath it and see what it looks like, even if this isn't available on the show floor at IKEA. And this creates an incredibly immersive experience for their customers, and also makes it so that the employees at IKEA feel very empowered to help their customers create the best possible kitchen for them. And what's great about this is how quickly and how with such agility you can create an application like this inside of Power Apps. So let's go switch over to Power Apps Studio and see how it was done. Inside of Power Apps Studio, even though I'm inside of a browser, I can see exactly how the application would look like, even with real data on the tablet. And this makes it very easy to create pixel-perfect, incredibly visually appealing experiences using Power Apps, and to do it all on a platform and an experience that feels just like PowerPoint or Excel. And being able to do this quickly in the browser is how IKEA can really build super tailored business process applications to match that kitchen configuration and checkout process. And the one item I wanted to go drill in today in particular is that mixed reality capability. So if I go and do the same series of clicks that I just did on the tablet, we can see I'm on this screen, which is the drill down to the kitchen workbench. And all I have to do to go drop on a control, which allows me to visualize in 3D space, is just this built-in mixed reality control. I don't need to know anything about ARKit or deep 3D models. I'm able to go just drop it on right here very easily. I can change the text that shows up to say view, and then I can just bind the source to anything inside of this application. So in my case, I'm going to choose a product that's selected on the left-hand side from the product gallery and grab that 3D object. And what that will do is whenever someone clicks on this button inside the tablet, is they'll get a 3D visualization that they can interact with and walk around right inside of this application. And this works on both tablets as well as phones very naturally and very easily. And this new mixed reality control is just the latest and greatest addition to the Power Apps control family. There's hundreds of other ones available to build incredibly beautiful and immersive applications. As one item, though, to add on to that for IKEA is that once they create an item inside of the Common Data Service, once they actually complete one of those project plans, they want to go record it into a legacy application, something called iSell, to go record that sale. And to do that, iSell doesn't have any APIs. So all the normal data connectors we have for the Power Platform don't work. But that's where the brand new UI Flow capability, which just reached general availability, comes in handy to go solve this. UI flows are available right inside that Power Automate Designer, so I can create a automation so that whenever a project plan is created in CDS, I'll go run this UI flow. And what this UI flow does is it actually will launch an application on a VM in an unattended mode and run through a series of steps. And you can see all the individual items that I recorded before, which are identifying the right controls to click, the right search buttons to click. And this uses 3 different layers of rules and AI to make sure it's durable and resilient over time. So it's now possible using this capability to very easily connect to those legacy applications around your business process, even if they don't have APIs or data connectors. And to show just how easy it is, I'll very quickly record just a few steps using that UI flow capability at Power Automate. If I launch the recorder, we can see that I get an experience much like you would see for, say, Microsoft Teams. And from here, I can basically launch the legacy application. And in this case, it looks like something that's a little bit dated, doesn't have a new APIs or anything like that. And I can take inputs from my automation, which was coming from the Common Data Service in this case. I can go flow it into text boxes, click the search button, and I can see that I can very easily start to add information about the project right inside of this application. And I won't go through all the fields just for timeliness, but once I'm done, I can click Save, and this now has copied over the data from the Common Data Service over into this legacy application, allowing you to start to transform parts of your business one by one without having to rip out and replace everything. So all those steps I just did are visible here. And that's what's so powerful about UI flows and the Power Platform in general, is that you can go connect to all of your different systems that you have without having to do a complete replacement. You can transform where you are at a very affordable and fast pace, which makes it possible to completely overhaul a customer journey without having to replace all those backend systems. And for the last piece of the solution from IKEA is an experience for the store manager. So now that all of the appointment bookings as well as the project plans are tracked in the Common Data Service and Dynamics 365, it's possible to use Power BI to visualize all the different appointments that are being booked. And what's possible is you can see how many are being booked online or in store. You can even see how that maybe changes as you have more people working from home and not going out due to the COVID-19 situation. And you can also see what the closure rate is for appointments inside the store. And it's not just about visualizing or analyzing your data. You also can use an embedded Power App right inside of Power BI, so you can start to go request additional employees for a site or location which has a large number of requested appointments. And again, all of this starts to fit together to create a very transformative experience for IKEA customers and employees.
To recap what we just saw, IKEA was able to use the Power Platform and Dynamics 365 to completely transform their customer journey from their website all the way to their in-store locations. And IKEA was able to do all of this very quickly and in a highly integrated way with their existing IT landscape because of the low-code capabilities inside of the Power Platform. And as a result, both the customers as well as the IKEA employees can have a highly enjoyable and highly immersive experience when configuring their kitchens. With that, I'll turn it back over to you, James.
Thank you so much, Charles. I love this demo. I mean, it's amazing to see the agility and the flexibility and really the pace with which customers are able to go change their core business processes. In the case of IKEA, leveraging everything from Power BI to Power Apps, Power Automate, the AI Builder capabilities, in their case also using Dynamics 365, but connecting with all of their other systems to fundamentally reshape the way they meet their customer in the environment and serve them moving forward. Just phenomenal. Now, things aren't always the same, and clearly we're in a time right now that's fundamentally different than where we were just a few short months ago. And to show us how Microsoft is focused to help our customers in this time of great change, Alyssa's going to take us through some of the scenarios we're focused on with our customers.
Absolutely. Thanks, James. And it was great to see the innovation across the portfolio and with our customers. Amazing. So thank you. As James talked about, I want to spend a little bit of time zooming out from business applications to what we're doing at the Microsoft level. Our goal right now is to help organizations respond while also laying the foundation for the future. And we want to make sure that organizations can respond with agility and speed, but then also think a few steps ahead to move forward with confidence as we go from crisis into rebuild. And we also recognize that challenges look very different for every organization, whether you're a small business or a large multinational corporation. There's different industry conditions, there's different global variations. But despite all of this, we know that there are 5 ways that we can help any organization of any size in any industry today. And that first is enabling people and teams to work from anywhere. Working from home wasn't an easy transition for everyone. I know it wasn't for me. And it's not just about learning a new digital platform to collaborate, but it's about fundamentally reshaping how we engage with our teams, our colleagues, with our customers. And I've asked Jared Spataro, who is my counterpart in the Microsoft 365 business, to share his thoughts on what he's seeing right now with remote work. Let's hear what he has to say.
Thanks, Alyssa. You know, we're really living in a world of remote everything. In the past few weeks, we've learned so much working with many customers across the globe, including organizations like Coca-Cola, the University of Bologna, and St. Luke's Health Network in Pennsylvania. All of these firms, organizations, are trying to figure out how to navigate this new reality. As I reflect on my conversations with so many people, here are 3 things that jump out. First, it's not just about remote work, it's about secure remote work. All of a sudden, security and privacy, which already were important, have become more important than ever before. In particular, when everything from birthday parties to the most important board meetings have gone online, it's important that you're using a platform that protects your information and your privacy. It's even more important, I think, that you find a technology provider that has security and privacy literally woven into who they are as a company and how they produce their products. Second, we have proven to ourselves that we can stay connected even while we're apart. Our customers are using live events to hold big events online. They're using Teams meetings to just get work done. They're even using chat to replace those impromptu kind of hallway bump-ins where they're able to share information together. This month, for instance, users logged more than 4 billion meeting minutes on Teams in a single day. It's proof that it takes more than physical distance to keep us apart. That said, number 3, video conferencing alone just isn't enough. What we're finding is that not only is there video conferencing fatigue, but video conferencing as your sole tool for collaboration just won't cut it. In fact, in between those meetings that you're having as a group or a team trying to get things done, you need those interactions. You need to chat. You need to collaborate on content. All of this is important to the flow of work. Each one of the components of that workflow, a meeting, a quick check-in, perhaps a review of a document, is an important part of the way teams work together to create value. Organizations everywhere have come to rely on Teams because it combines something you can't get anywhere else. Chat, meet, collaborate, and call. That value prop is incredibly powerful, and it's helping teams continue to stay productive across the globe. Those are just 3 things that I have noticed in my conversations with people. I'm looking forward to an opportunity to share more with you in the future. Now, back to you, Alyssa.
Thanks, Jared. And for those that want to learn more, we have a remote work session later this morning, so I'd encourage you to attend. The next thing that I wanted to focus on is how we're helping organizations rapidly respond to changing business needs. And that's all about the Power Platform. Organizations need the agility to stand up new solutions quickly. They need to be able to adapt workflows, save time and money with automation, as well as surface insights to make decisions faster and on the fly. We, within Power Platform, have created a set of templates that allow organizations to get started right away for many aspects of emergency response. So let me give you one specific example, and that is Swedish Health Services. In March, as COVID-19 began spreading in Washington state, Swedish was faced with a brand new challenge. They had new incoming tests that they hadn't seen before. They had increased pressure on critical inventory like masks and gloves. And on top of all of that, an influx of patients who needed life-saving care. So visibility to these resources could literally mean the difference between life and death. And so emergency response managers making these real-time decisions about where to divert scarce resources was their most critical aspect and what they needed to solve for. So we were proud to work with Swedish to quickly build a Power App solution that puts this life-saving information right in the hands of the healthcare providers who needed it most, supporting that critical decision-making across the entire Swedish network of care facilities. Now, because of agility and adaptability of Power Platform, We can continuously innovate as the situation evolves. For example, we're building on the work with Swedish to provide that same resource visibility across the entire state of Washington. This low-code strategy enabled by the Power Platform can help organizations respond to situations that are changing week by week and sometimes even day by day. But it's not just about our low-code strategy. We also need to empower our professional developers as well. They are at the center of working to ship mission-critical solutions every single day. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that here, but I would encourage you to register for Microsoft Build that is coming up digitally in the next couple weeks. Please log on to learn more. The next thing is critical to maintaining business continuity and helping organizations sell, service, and deliver on customer expectations. And Dynamics 365 applications are at the center of this. Everything that you've heard James and I talk about how they can deliver agile and adaptable solutions. A couple that I want to highlight. Dynamics 365 Remote Assist and Dynamics 365 Customer Service, both critical ways we're empowering remote work today. Also, Dynamics 365 Commerce, it helps businesses stay open even when customers can't buy in person. So bringing together curbside pickup as well as contactless shopping. Let's take a moment and look at an organization that has made this shift today.
Ste. Michelle Wine Estates, we're the third largest premium wine company in the United States. Dealing with COVID-19, we've had to change everything like every other company. Suddenly, everyone who came into the office is working from home, which has put enormous constraints on our IT operations group. The good part is they haven't had to worry about the retail side of the business. The fact that we've had everything on a single platform freed up resources to meet critical needs. And they've been able to focus on getting all of our employees up and working from home as seamlessly as they can. We had to shut down one facility and move everything to a different facility. That would have been impossible in a system that wasn't fully integrated or that was custom. We were able to change some configuration to meet the new business requirements. Our industry is not dissimilar from others. It used to be 90% of the direct-to-consumer was through the wineries and 10% was via e-commerce. In the last couple of weeks, that has changed entirely. So there's 90% via e-commerce and 10% versus in-person at a winery. We were able to, within a few hours, completely change our distribution model.
Absolutely incredible to see how fast organizations like Chateau Ste. Michelle are moving. This has been a theme throughout the keynote today. And they are only able to do that with a modern SaaS business application foundation. But before we move on, I have to mention one thing, and that's how we're helping organizations to be able to deliver on that solid foundation. The Dynamics 365 Migration Program, which is a new program we launched in March, helps organizations get started on that journey. We offer a free migration assessment as well as resources and different offers to help organizations make that move. And I'd encourage any of you that are considering migrating from on-prem to the cloud to check it out. Finally, underpinning everything we do at Microsoft is trust and security. And it's now more important than ever to have security fundamentals nailed. We're often asked how Microsoft is managing our own environment. And I'd love for us to hear from our very own CISO, Brett Arsenal, to talk about just that.
When we started our transformation on this client-to-cloud world about 5 years ago, we had already made the determination that the network as a effective control plane was going to diminish over time. And so we really started focusing on our zero trust effort. And zero trust is a lot of things. So I'll just explain it from my perspective, which was it really comes down to three things. It's an idea where you assume nothing and verify everything. And so number one, you have strong identity. Number two, you have a great device health attestation, meaning you have to attest that the device is healthy. And then number three, you use signals to continually keep track of all those different pieces so you can adjust the user experience. And I'll explain how this remote becomes really important in that scenario, just using those three blended components. As an example, we realized we had developers who weren't able to take devices home. And so in that scenario, we created a virtualization capability in 2 days with WVD and spun up 32,000 capability for 32,000 devs to come in if they needed to via the WVD solution. And that was all done with telemetry. And from a productive perspective, turns out our developers have been more productive since we've sent them home than they were in the office, which is a whole different conversation. But it's good to see that kind of thing.
It's great to hear from Brett and the efforts that we are undertaking to keep the world secure. So just to recap, what you saw here are the 5 big initiatives that we're doing across Microsoft to support organizations around the world and in every industry. And you can learn more at Microsoft.com/together. And there you'll find not only more information about our solutions, but offers and lots of other great resources. So to conclude, I wanted to thank you personally for taking the time to be here at our first ever Digital MBAS 2020. And I hope that you will spend the rest of the day with us, not only in the follow-on sessions, but also being able to participate in the networking events. So it's fantastic to connect with you virtually, and thank you very much. James, closing thoughts?
Yep. So thank you. From me also, thank you very much for joining us today. I really hope that at some point in the future we can get together in person again, but at least coming together digitally, it's important, I think, to bring community together. And again, thank you for spending the time with us. I think I want to conclude with Team Rubicon. So Team Rubicon, near and dear to my heart. It's a non-government organization that focuses on disaster relief and recovery. They give veterans a new mission when they come out of the service. Huge proponent, leveraging the Power Platform Dynamics 365. Let's take a look at the great work that they're doing.
I've heard a couple cars go by. Are we picking that up? Could I have them take it again?
It's boys on skateboards. Let me just tell them to stop. Hey guys, they're picking up the skateboards, so can you guys stop for a while? Team Rubicon is a natural disaster response organization that takes the skills, experience, and education of military veterans to help communities prepare, respond, and recover from humanitarian crises or natural disasters. Over 120,000 volunteers, managed by a staff of about 170 full-time employees and about 150 contract employees. Our vision was to see if Team Rubicon can be powered by Microsoft, and that's proven to be the most powerful investment as we've entered into this COVID environment. Over the course of 30 days, we answered 250 requests for assistance. We had 169 work sites across the country. We stood up and are running a 250-bed overflow for Santa Clara's 10 hospitals and medical centers. We're well over 1,000 tests complete in North Carolina. We have personnel deployed in the Navajo Nation helping with their response to COVID. We've responded to 6 tornadoes across the Southeast, and we partnered with Feeding America, helping food insecurity. When you have that many different operations ongoing, logistics is obviously a huge component of it. Do you have the right people going to the right places? Do you have the right materials? Is the right PPE in place? All of this is happening via workflow and dynamics. We've eliminated as many barriers as possible. I think that's the real elegance of the way the enterprise management system is structured. Disasters like COVID try the human spirit in ways that we could never imagine. Through communications and through partnership and through really simple acts, you can move people, you can inspire them. If we can understand that every home is connected, every home is part of a community, every person that lives in each of those houses has an obligation, not only to the people in that home, but the people in the community will be better for it.